Hi everyone, my name is Mary Schaefer. I am an art educator at Hilltop Elementary in Chichester School District, which is in Delaware County. A few things about me. First of all, all the pictures surrounding are of my little boy Leo, who I just gave birth to in July. He's like my entire life right now. Other than that, I'm really big into running and anything really car related. I kind of grew up with my father teaching me to love cars. I participate in rallies and all over the country, and then I also am a part of the Berks County Mustang Club. I am going for my STEM certification through Millersville, and I will be graduating this May. So I'm really excited to get this last class through, because I'm really excited about being STEM certified. So going through the questions, question number one, talking about which stage of the action research process would I find most difficult. I thought that phase three, the analysis of your data, would be the most difficult to me because I feel like the data gathering, figuring out what you're going to do, coming up with a plan, the first two phases to me would be more fun. And then when it comes to sit down and really look at what you recorded and pulled together, I feel like I would be overwhelmed. First of all, where do you begin? Okay, you've accumulated all this information and you are ready to start making sense of it all, but what comes first in all of it? Um, I also had to question what happens when you have students that affect the data, especially when you may have students that are not available all the time, if you have students that are come and go, student behavior, student, if they come at certain times of the day, their mentality for the day. Are they tired? Did they not get enough sleep the night before? Are they hungry? All these things that we are told all the time that happen with students, but they really do affect test scores and the data that you would collect. How can you weed out the unimportant data? So if you are coming in with these issues affecting your data, where do you pull in the important information to keep and what do you throw out? How much data to collect? I feel like you can collect way too much data and end up overwhelming yourself more than figuring out where to begin. And if you collect too little, then it's going to be more manageable, but it's going to be frustrating because you may not have enough to do your actual research. What if after you collect all your data, you're going back to square one feeling like you got nowhere, which I understand the process is to keep going through the cycle, but if you feel like you're going nowhere, I feel like you're going to be more upset with yourself than feeling accomplished. And how do you implement data collection that doesn't disrupt data accuracy? And by that, I just mean sometimes when you go in with an idea of what you want to come out with in a class, sometimes your teaching isn't, it's more it's not yourself, so the students pick up on it and they're not understanding what you're trying to say because in your head you're set at this goal and you're just not getting across what you want to get across. And I've had that happen to me before, starting a new lesson thinking that, okay, X, Y, and Z has to happen today, and I just felt very statue-like. I couldn't get out what I needed to say, and the students were completely lost because it wasn't my normal teaching skill. So just thinking, if you had to go in with this action research on your mind, is that going to affect how you teach? Question two talks about what obstacles did we see in the approach of making action research a part of our daily teaching practices. First of all, time and energy was the first thing, and I know they talked about it in the book and said that it really does pay off to put the time and the energy into it, and once you learn the process, it really doesn't take much more. But I don't know about you, I have a very busy schedule, and already my schedule is completely taken up with a new baby in the house. So, where am I going to find this extra time to do an action research? I know I'll be finding out soon enough, but of course, that was my first question. Support, how do you go about getting support from other teachers that may not be interested in your study? Or what if you don't have a very supportive administration? Not that I have that problem now, but I had it in the past. Cause and effect, same thing that I said in the last slide. What if something you do or how the students come in and that affects your data, and you're expected to uh, keep this action research going, yet it just seems like you're falling more and more down the rabbit hole and you're not pulling yourself out. And disruption from other expectations. uh, I know as a teacher that I have SLOs, I have PBS within the school that I need to make sure that I'm recognizing students. There's data morning meetings that the other teachers have and I'm supposed to cover. I need to input grades, a slew of things that we're expected to do as teachers, as everyone has. Um, where are we supposed to fit in the action research information and not feel like you have a principal or someone down your throat because you're not doing the other things first. So just things that came to mind. And last, the story that resonated with me the most was Julia Nora's story, mostly because she talked about having major ESL students or major ESL population in her school. And although I don't have as major of ESL students in the school that I'm teaching now, I used to teach in Delaware, and that was a major issue because you had to take tests in English, and there was no way for them to understand, or at least there was not enough support that was needed. She talked about data choice. She said something along the lines that it doesn't prove engagement or the lesson strength. She wasn't interested in that matter because the way she taught it didn't seem to the data didn't seem to affect her how she was going to teach, which I do kind of understand since I do teach art. Sometimes the way we collect the data needs to be a little bit more personalized to my lessons, because just because a student doesn't like a lesson, that can really screw up any kind of data that I would get, whether a lesson is successful or not. So it kind of depends on your subject matter. And I did take not feeling defeat in the end, that you need to be testing for the advancement, and to understand that you shouldn't feel defeated if you are going back to square one, which is something that she talked about at the very last paragraph, that she was expecting them to do well, but if they didn't, she knew she could go back and do more collection of data and figure out where to go from there. She also talked about there was a small group, which led to my question, where's the help? If you start with a very large group and you're thinking you're taking on a great study, and then all of a sudden your participants are dwindling and it's just you and one other person, or maybe just you, that's a lot riding on your shoulders. People don't care, people drop out, while you may have your heart set on something and you don't have the support that you need. So I thought she made a lot of good points, things that made me question how I would go about doing things in my own school or how I would have done things in the past. So she resonated the most with me. So these are my answers to the 3 questions posted, and looking forward to seeing other people's presentations. Thank you.